good.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is the 2017 Winter Games Head of Delegation webinar number 1. And again, I mentioned it just a few minutes ago, but I'll mention it again. The webinar will be recorded, and for those reasons, or for that reason, we want to go ahead and press *6 to mute your phones at this time. And as we move throughout the slide, you can press *6 to unmute your phone if you have a question pertaining to a specific slide. Otherwise, I would wait or ask you to wait till the end of the webinar, and we'll take questions at the end. So what we're going to do, one of the things we want you all to know, as I said, it's being recorded, and the slides that you'll see this evening, as well as the link for the presentation, we will send out to everyone so that you have these slides to use for your reference as we move through, forward and closer to the Winter Games. We'll hit over the purpose of tonight's meeting, which is basically for us all to start conversations and have communications. We'll hit some deadlines, some coach requirements. We'll talk a little bit about a new kind of thing we're doing this year with what used to be termed coaches on snow training. Trying something new this year, which will be the race and gate training. And then our athletes on snow weekend with the time trials at February 11th, 12th. We'll hit a few highlights, and then, like I said, we'll have questions and answers at the very end. So again, like I said, we're just here to basically start the communication and the dialogue process so that we all can talk about what concerns, questions you may have leading up to the Winter Games. A lot of this stuff will be the same. For those new individuals, it will be a lot of new information, so we want to give everyone an opportunity to ask questions, obtain your input and your feedback so that everyone can be prepared for the games. And like, as we all know, as we prepare for events, we're not going to have all the answers this early from the event, but we will work through those questions and provide answers as we come to those conclusions and decisions. If there are coaches that aren't the lead for their county program, we appreciate your attendance tonight, but this is not a replacement for the upcoming webinar, specifically for the two sports, for the Alpine Coaches webinar and the Snowshoeing webinar. Those dates, times, and are provided on this slide as well. And then we will have another Head of Delegation webinar on the 16th of February. One of the things that will come back to the end at the slide to see what your feelings may be in regards to providing another webinar right before the Athlete on Snow and the time trials. So be thinking about that as we move through the webinar this evening. One of the new things that we are looking at is changing the housing locations from years past. We are currently in negotiations with 2 new hotels. They are in the Hagerstown area, and the locations are a little closer to Whitetail. And once the contracts are signed, sealed, and delivered, we'll let everyone know about those hotels and those locations. This gives you a kind of an idea of where those hotels are. You can see the old hotel, previous hotel location there, and where the new hotels will be. And in reference, Whitetail is up this direction, so you can see it is closer. Here's another great thing we like to share. Whitetail has done a lot of construction, if you were unaware of that. If you look at the top slide where the white sealant and whatever was going on that building, that whole section is brand new. That's obviously looking from the parking lot coming into the resort to the main entrance. And the bottom right slide picture, that is the backside looking towards the mountain. So it won't have much impact as far as our outside operations. They were targeting to have everything completed by today. They're about a week behind. I talked to them this morning. So we're going to plan to go back up there once the new construction building is open for public use. We'll go in there and see what other uses we can make of the new construction. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's maybe almost doubled in size. So it's going to be a great addition for us. This, I will say, yes, the date is wrong on this slide, so bear with me. The dates for the Winter Games are the 27th and 28th of 2017. But this wanted to show you this slide again. This is where things have been in the past, and depending upon the new construction, there may be one or two things that we tweak a little bit. Again, as those details are finalized, we'll let everyone know. Again, disregard the date on this slide as well, but again, just giving you an overview of where things will be. Again, not much has changed, but once we get the walkthrough of the new construction, we'll see. And if you see right here, this is where the new construction has all occurred. So it's going to be a really nice addition, and hopefully we'll have some good use of that new space there. Just point of reference, again, the Alpine courses are here. Again, they will be addressed in the Alpine coaches webinars as well. But again, not much change as from years past. Same thing with the snowshoeing venue. Again, just giving you the basic overview there. Now we get to the timelines and deadlines. Training registration deadline is January 12th. Again, most of you should have already seen this communicated through the area memo in our calendars here from Special Olympics Maryland. That training deadline is when all athletes, partners, coaches, and all the volunteers in the program should be registered in GMS. And again, it's important to note that anyone submitted after that date is not eligible for the state winter games. And then moving forward, we have the last day for missing forms or cleaning up some data or whatever we have that we determine that's missing or incomplete. We'll have that on the 23rd of January. But again, make sure that all the volunteers, athletes, partners, etc., that those forms and everything are valid through the 28th of February and don't expire throughout the season or leading up to the games. I would also add that if there's programs that stay the night after the 28th, make sure they're valid through the 29th for that extra day of travel. And then again, we have our competition registration deadline on the 2nd of February. All the team rosters have to be in a GMS, and those without an event will then be deleted from the game. So make sure when you're doing your registration that all the information, especially with their events, is included in that. Some other key dates, again, we talked about a couple of these. The previous Coaches on Snow training, which is now the Race and Gate training, will be on January 7th. We'll have some more information on that in a little while. Talked about these others. The time trials, again, are on the 12th of February, and Athlete on Snow is on the 11th. And then right following that, depending on what we find on the snow with the athletes, if there's any events that need to be adjusted at that time, we'll do so on the 13th there. And again, there's other webinar information there for the upcoming webinars. To qualify for the Winter Games, first and foremost, everybody's got to get those deadlines met, get the registration requirements into GMS. And we say that there is a minimum of 3 on-snow training sessions. We truly mean that it is a minimum. As you all well know with coaches, and you've been here for a while with Special Olympics, the more opportunities we provide to the athletes, the better their performance will be, and they'll have a better experience. So again, it is a bare minimum. The more we can get people out on the snow and get training, once again, the better the athlete's performance will be. Again, the Athlete on Snow is February 11th, and that can count as one such session of the on-snow training. same can be said for the race and gate training on January 7th. And the time trials as well. So those can be 3 of those sessions, but again, that's the minimum. Let's get the athletes out there and more practice, more practice, more practice. With Alpine, again, 1 session must be the gate training. And then the evidence of training, again, keep track of everything so that if we have questions, you guys as programs can provide the information we need to verify if there's any questions that come up regarding the on-snow training for the athletes and partners. We just reemphasize this at every event. Most of you know this very well, but no athlete or volunteer can participate without the valid and current medical from the athletes and or the volunteer application for the volunteers. Again, there's no exceptions. We got to keep hard and fast to this rule. Again, just reiterating that with the athletes having their medical on file and complete and up to date. And again, it cannot expire during the season, so let's make sure everybody's up to date throughout the winter games. We'll hit on the medical here in a little bit on the next few slides, but all the necessary information must be included. All the pages have to be completed fully, and including all the required signatures. Again, medicals, as with most other forms, are valid for 3 years. Here's the athlete medical. It has been updated. These forms are available to everyone through MySOMD. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these, just want to hit them, let you know they're here. The one thing I would like to emphasize is the waiver used to be 2 or 3 different forms. It's all been condensed into 1 form. So that's a good improvement there. Volunteers, and that includes all of our coaches and partners, must have the valid volunteer applications, and that's prior to training. So it's not throughout the season. We want to have everyone in compliance before the training begins. And again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I will hit a couple key points. If they are 18, they must also complete the minor reference form and obtain the signed references from 2 people. The volunteer applications, again, just like I said, they're good for 3 years. But if there's minors, their application and screening will expire on their 18th birthday. If you have anyone getting close to 18, let's go ahead and get prepared for that as soon as they hit their 18th birthday. Again, here's the volunteer application, just as a reference for you. And there's the minor reference form. Another form we have, hopefully we don't use too often, but it's the accident incident report. Just make sure everyone's kind of familiar with that and knows what the form is intended for and who should receive that. If you're not an area director, make sure the area director gets that and that you as a coach or a lead volunteer have those with you at any training or traveling for events. And again, there's just a reference. If you're unfamiliar with the form, there's where it is, or there's what it looks like. We also make that available to you as well. Coach requirements. We hit a little bit of this here. A little bit of a change. In the past, we've had head coaches with all the compliance. This year, we're moving towards all coaches. Assistant coaches, not just head coaches, all coaches have to have their Class A in, obviously, their background screening, protective behaviors, the concussion training, and the sports certification. Again, all of these are valid for 3 years, but this is for all coaches. Again, we really want to stress that with the unified partners and some of the assistant coaches, the concussion training and protective behaviors. We found that some sometimes gets forgotten. We want to make sure that we're maintaining that for everyone. Again, like I said, this is a long-standing policy from Special Olympics Maryland for the coach sport certification. All coaches for Winter Games must have the sport certification valid through the Winter Games, but no later than the 23rd of 2017. And we'll send an update with some additional information regarding options to obtain your sports certification.
And Steve, this is Mike. Just we missed updating this slide. That update that'll include people's all the winter sports coaches with their certification statuses. That actually we said we'll have out by December 1. We'll try to beat that, but by December 1. So sorry for that error on that slide, and I didn't catch it when we were reviewing it.
Yeah, and I missed it too. Thank you, Mike. Again, continuing with the coach sports certification, we'll hit on that. You know, just again, the coaching Special Olympics athletes or the principles of coaching, and they must have their sport-specific session. Again, I'll stress that that's for all coaches, not just the head coaches. And then here is something new again. It used to be the coaches on snow training. We're changing it a little bit up this year. We're going to have the race and gate on snow training. That again will be on January 7th. And George, are you on the line?
I am, Steve.
I know if you wanted to hit a little bit about this.
Yeah, just wanted to say kudos to Matt Otwell and his Alpine management team for developing this concept. What we're offering here is a chance to get your athletes one more day on snow, but not just on snow, in a race course. And this is for both sports. We'll have courses set for both sports. I think the plan is to have, again, we will have clinicians there, folks who can work with you on your techniques, your teaching techniques, your skiing techniques, and they would be watching you and your athletes go through the courses and giving you advice right there on the spot. So it's really a great opportunity to get onto a race course, which, you know, they're just, the ability to set a race course and to set it well is an ability that takes a while to develop. So we have the folks available. We can set them up that day and give you a good opportunity to get some course training in. If this is well received, and we're going to keep it at one day this year as coach training has been for several years, but if it's well received, we will certainly look very seriously at maybe expanding it to 2 days the following year. Steve, did I cover everything? Is there anything you want to emphasize?
No, I think that's great. And again, like George said, I think this is a great opportunity for the athletes and coaches to get some more race training and the gate training. And again, this is what we always look to do is to improve upon what we've offered in the past. So the Alpine crew and the snowshoe crew, we appreciate them thinking outside the box and coming up with some new ideas, and we hope it's received well, and we'll move forward from there and see what we can do in the future.
Hey, Steve and George, this is Mike, one other thing to add to that. Just a reminder to folks, of course, all of your athletes, I'm sure will have their medicals up to date before they start training, but we would, if they're attending this gate or race or gate training this day, we'll have to have that updated medical into headquarters by then as well. So you know, take a look at who's participating or who you expect to participate and make sure their information is up to date. This will all be in a separate communication out to folks with the means by which to sign up for it, but want to give you that heads up that or that reminder that their medicals need to be up to date, and the volunteer apps for the coaches as well, of course.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, George. The athlete on snow training and the time trials, once again, that's the weekend of the 11th and 12th of February. Again, all athletes and partners who want to compete at the Winter Games must go to the time trials. No exceptions there. Again, with the meal costs, we'll charge those back to the programs. And if you are looking at doing it overnight, the programs are on their own to make their own lodging arrangements, and we will provide some information as we get closer to that, as we continue to work with the hotels in the area. Again, as we said, it's a minimum of 3, so we hope that a lot of you will be able to take advantage and get the athletes and partners up on the snow and a lot of experience on the hills. Here's the information for whitetail. Just let them know you're with Special Olympics Maryland. They've got some group rates for us. As you can see at the bottom of the slide, those are the prices I confirmed with them again today. One of the things we are looking at, and I'm hoping we can get the reduced rates as well from Round Top and Liberty. We just have not been able to confirm that at this time, but we are very hopeful that those two ski areas will also honor reduced rates. Again, we will provide information as that becomes available to us. Winter Games, hopefully everyone knows the dates by now, but if not, February 27th and 28th of 2017. Again, the hotels are to be determined. The registration fee will be $120 per delegation member, and that is to partially cover some of the on-site costs. The one thing that's important here is, well, everything's important, but the scratches must be reported to the Special Olympics office by February 20th. At that time, your scratches, still let us know after that date, but also know that the registration fee of $120 will continue to be charged after that date. And then again, we talk about the ratios here, and unified partners are not included in calculating that ratio, and we'll get that the exact amount we move forward.
Steve, actually, I'm sorry again, this is Mike. One other thing to note with this, and with the additional hotel space, this may not be an issue, but additional folks, there is still limited hotel spaces. So if you are bringing people above that ratio, we can't guarantee that they can be lodged with your delegation. We have had some delegations bring a significant number of additional people, and we need to take care of the folks that are staying within the ratio and such, but there may be an issue with them staying with the delegation. Hopefully there won't. It all depends upon the numbers, but just want to make sure folks are aware of that.
Yeah. And if you have significant issues with athletes needing one-on-one, we will also work with you on that. But yeah, definitely keep in mind the 3-to-1 ratio. Some highlights and some things we want to mention to you. We're always looking for athletes and that are appropriate that can be in leadership roles. And these are just examples. If they can help run the competition or want to become officials, if they want to work as a lead volunteer or have some more learning opportunities within the control center, helping with awards, obviously in the opening ceremony, and any other operations that we have. We're always looking for the athletes to give them more opportunities to be in leadership roles. So if you have anyone that you think may be interested, be appropriate for any of these roles, you can contact myself or your regional sports director. We'll be happy to work with you and talk about those opportunities for the athletes. Additional opportunities we have, we're going to look at doing the snowboarding demo again. That is not a competition. No awards will be given for the snowboarding, but it's an opportunity for the athletes to look at a new sport and see if eventually we have enough interest where we can actually offer that as a sport during the Winter Games. But again, that's only open to the athletes who are currently registered at the Winter Games. Of the Alpine schedule and the snowshoeing venue, things like that, will also direct you to your coaches who have been involved, if it's not yourselves, from the information that's been given on both of those sports with their sport-specific webinars. As I said, with the construction there, the opening ceremony, weather permitting, will still be outside, and with all the pageantry and the athlete roles there, and hopefully we don't have weather issues or we have to move the location. Families and spectators, again, we'll have some family hospitality there. We'll look at, once again, once the construction's completed, if there's better areas, but at this point we're looking at the same place it's been in the past, and for snowshoeing it would be up at the heated tent near where the awards are given for snowshoeing. Again, keep the families, and again, the family reception will be on Monday night. The location to be determined, once again, depending on the hotels. It will be in the hotels, but we're just waiting for that final confirmation and contract signing. We'll release that information. But the same good stuff that Stephen Holland and Debbie Credito have done with the families. We'll have the silent auction, some desserts, and a family forum to talk amongst themselves and have some camaraderie there with the families. Lunch for families, you can purchase that at Whitetail. And dinner, we're still figuring that out for the families in regards to dinner. The other question we will hit at the end of the day or into the slide is the potential of a family webinar that we can conduct if you guys think that would be valuable. And then we'll also, with Susan and Debbie's input, we'll take a look at that opportunity as well. Here you go, basic overall schedule. Again, as you all know, with every event, it's tentative. But again, I don't think there's been hardly any change there. And I know the biggest question everyone has is what's the theme of the dance? We're not releasing that at this time as we're still under discussion for the theme of the dance. Again, all the TBDs are based upon the new construction and the confirmation of the hotels. Same thing for Tuesday the 28th. And at this point, if you don't know who your regional sports director is, here's a list of those individuals. For those of you who haven't been on the other webinars, the one new addition is Ron Freeman, working with Baltimore City and Baltimore County. If you don't know Ron, you will get to know him. He's on the call now, but he's been a long-time volunteer for track and field and running the snowshoeing competitions. We're lucky to have him join us at the staff now, and he will continue his role for snowshoeing through Winter Games and also transitioning next year to find some more leadership roles for track and field at Summer Games and continue to work with Baltimore City and Baltimore County. At this time, I had two questions. One was if you think it's good to have a webinar for the heads of delegation before the time trials, and then what our thoughts were about family webinar. So at this point, if you have any other questions or want to address that, you can use *6 to unmute your phone.
Jack, or Steve, before you open it up to everybody, I know that Debbie Credito and Jane are also on the line. I didn't know if they had anything that they wanted to add to the information that's available for folks at this point.
Yeah, so first we'll go with Jane Dunn. Those of you who don't know Jane, she does a lot of work with our games management team with housing and meals and registration, and many other things. So Jane, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Not at this time. Since nothing is officially signed, obviously we'll get the information out to everybody on the housing, and then as I have always done in the past, I'll be communicating with all of the heads of delegation moving forward to start assigning space for them for the winter games, and I'll be available for any questions they have about the potential new hotels. I know we did discuss the possibility of maybe having a quick tour for the heads of delegation. I think the weekend of the coaches of the athletes on snow weekend.
Right.
Yeah, we can get that.
In case anybody wants to see the space that we'll be using for housing for 2017.
Thank you, Jane. And then Debbie, do you have anything you'd like to add, Debbie?
Nope, I'm just sitting here taking this all in. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Jane. One other thing that I would like to mention, I don't know how many people are aware of it, but there has been a new rule submitted for Alpine in regards to Special Olympics International, in regards to the Alpine helmets. I know we've received a couple emails in regards to that. What I will say at this point is we understand the implications from a budgetary perspective, and we are doing our research at this time to see what options are available to us as a state. And I have made contacts to Special Olympics North America as well as Special Olympics International, and we're looking at some possible solutions. So I don't want anyone to panic at this time in regards to the new helmet requirements, but know that we are working diligently to see what options are available, and stay tuned. We hope to get an answer by the end of the week, but certainly by the end of next week in regards to the options that we have for the Alpine new regulation helmet. With that being said, if there's questions, let's hear if there are any. And if you are trying to ask a question and you've still got your phone on mute, use *6 to ask a question.
Steve, this is Rick Blessing, Lower Shore.
Yep.
Looking at the possibility of the head of delegation meeting before the on snow, I think that with all the uncertainties that we have at this point, I think it would be very beneficial for all of us to meet back again one more time before we go up there, so we'll have a better idea of what's going on and what we can look forward to as we move forward.
Okay. Duly noted. Rick, thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is
Anne Arundel County, and thanks for answering my question regarding the helmets. I'll look for more guidance coming later, and I will piggyback on the comments just made regarding the head of delegation webinar just before athletes on snow. That, given all the changes, that will be very helpful for us.
Gotcha. That sounds good. Thank you, Alan.
Yep.
Nancy from Montgomery County.
Hey, Nancy.
I was just wondering, I thought I missed the snowshoe webinar, but I thought I saw on the pages that last page of the medical where you sign once for all of the waivers was going to be required before state games. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, let me clarify. We are still honoring everybody's. This is Mike, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah.
If someone has a medical that's valid in there, they don't have to do anything new. It's
right.
It's good for its duration.
Oh,
if they
okay.
are submitted, you don't have to do anything for anybody whose medical is good or a volunteer who's good. We're honoring those. We want to phase in this new medical, trying to get everybody, all the new ones that are coming in, starting with the first of the year, to all be the new ones. Obviously, we'll be a little flexible with that, but you don't have to do anything new.
And they will all, of course, then use that form. Now,
Exactly.
I thought I read that everybody would at least do that form before
Yeah,
big game.
it's not like what happened about 3 years ago when we had the extra waivers. That's where I don't want to dig into that, but that was a mess.
Okay.
We are not revisiting that.
Right.
That's history. And then also to clarify, we did have the preseason snowshoe webinar. That was last week and was recorded. The ones that were on the slide there were the pre-competition ones, the one just before summer games. Or winter games. Winter games. We could do them before summer games too, but I don't know that snowshoe would be too interested.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay, with that being said, once again, I appreciate everyone's time this evening.
Steve, we didn't get any feedback from folks on whether having an informational session or webinar for families. You asked about it, but we didn't hear any feedback from folks. We've never done it before. It would obviously be, general about the winter games, but it's something that came up at one of our meetings as a way to let families have more information. Is there a sense of that would be useful, or let's just give it a try, or, it would cause more, or is the sense it would cause more problems than it would solve?
Al Jank here from Anne Arundel County. I guess I'd really have to just throw it out to parents and see what kind of response I got to see if there was a need for that. And I can certainly poll them. That's not a problem.
This is Karen Broadwater from Garrett.
Karen?
And I think that would be great to have a family webinar.
Okay, got it covered.
Hi, this is Bill Pollock from Howard County. And I think it would be good to have a family webinar.
Okay. All right, we appreciate everyone's input on that. Looks like we have some interest in the family webinar and also interest in having a webinar right prior to the time trials and athletes on snow. So we will look into those possibilities. And once again, we thank you guys for everything you do at the county level. We appreciate your time this evening. And for those of you who most likely wear many hats, we appreciate everything you've done for the fall season, as I know it's crazy and very time-consuming. But again, I've seen a lot of great attitudes, great sportsmanship, and great skills from the athletes with all the sports we've just getting ready to wrap up here with the upcoming bowling state championships. So for everything you guys do, on behalf of Special Olympics Maryland, we thank you for your support for the athletes. And again, if there's any questions, don't hesitate to call us. Reach out to your regional sports director. And with that said, on behalf of the games management team for the winter games, we look forward to improving and continuing the good stuff. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.